of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Marnie, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Leaks May.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Polika.
Here.
Councilmember Piana. And Mayor Coulter.
You may notice that both Mayor Coulter and Councilwoman Piana are not here. Both are in Washington, D.C., handling matters on behalf of the city. So we do have a quorum, but I would entertain making a motion to excuse their absences.
Support.
I'll move it. You can support it.
Oh, we'll move it.
It's going to be a long night.
It's going to be a long night.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item would be the approval of the agenda.
Let's see.
Do you want to do that? Do it. Consent. All right, I'll move we approve the agenda as presented.
I also move that we add a presentation, Nat Pernick, with a check presentation to the Parks and Rec Department.
I'll accept the amendment.
Okay.
Okay, and Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Polika.
Yes.
And Councilmember Leaks May.
Yes.
Okay, the agenda is adopted. First order of business is a presentation of the Ferndale skate park design at Gary Park. Is that you, Lorena? Okay, great.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. So today we are going to show you the final design of the skate park. We're finally at the point where we're ready to just about put the shovels in the ground and get the project going. So how do we get to this point? We've had several community design meetings. We had our first meeting in October of 2018, where we had a large turnout. That was before we actually put out our request for proposals, and it was led by Parks and Rec as well as Hamilton Anderson and Associates. And we got a lot of feedback from the community on what they wanted to see, the elements they wanted to see in the skate park, and that helped us actually draft the RFP. We put the RFP out, and we hired Evergreen Skate Parks to design and build the Ferndale Skate Park at Geary Park. From there, we had two additional community design meetings, one in January, and then where we talked about the concept that was presented in the proposal, as well as what modifications people wanted to see and other elements into the skate park. And then the final design was actually presented at the end of February. And the community was very happy with the design. There's a lot of positive feedback. And so from that point, we took the design to the park board and held a meeting. And it was also supported by the park board. And we are presenting it to you guys today just to show you what it looks like. I do want to also, we have Evergreen Skate Parks here with us who's going to actually go through the design because I don't have the expertise to do that. And we also have Trevor, who's with the Tony Hawk Foundation, who is just here for support today. And if there's any additional questions about the grant funding, one thing that I do want to announce is that we have been selected from the Tony Hawk Foundation as part of the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation and Built to Play to get additional funding to make our skate park more of a green skate park that could actually be a model for future skate park recipients of the same grant.
That's fantastic.
So in addition to just putting this plan together, well, we'll start with this first, so I'll let you guys see what we have. Did you want to stand up?
Hi everyone, I'm Richie. I'm with Evergreen Skate Parks. I'm the designer and will be the project manager when it comes time to break ground here. Just to give you guys an overview, kind of where it's at, so everyone knows kind of where it's going to go in Geary Park. It's going to fit really nicely up in this top right corner, and I think it's going to look really good right here where all these streets connect, and this bus stop is right here. The idea behind the design was to take some traditional skate park features and integrate them in a really nice flowing organic shape that is going to lend itself to intermediate, beginner and advanced skateboarders. You can go, and bikers and scooter riders. You can travel around the entire thing without running into any hard lines or any mandatory drops or anything that's too challenging. But at the same time, there's plenty of features all the way around it to keep the most skilled skater entertained. I've built a handful of skate parks in this area, and you guys in Clawson and Sterling Heights, and I'm really excited to come back when it gets a little warmer and give you guys one of the best skate parks in the world. Is there any questions?
If I could, through the chair, could you speak a little bit about, Lorena had mentioned that this would be a model park for green amenities, right? Did I mishear you? So can you talk about that a little bit? I don't know anything about skate parks. So what about this is cutting edge green that others would want to duplicate?
I would say the biggest factor is keeping these trees. There's actually 3 trees in this space here, but for the sake of visualizing the skate park, there's only 1 in there. But there's trees that are going to stay in there, and we're going to work around those without having to take those out. And then just mitigating stormwater runoff and keeping that in the park and not having to obviously put it in the sewer system. That's the main thing there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Anybody from the audience have any questions? Please,
how's it going?
please come up to the podium and.
Hi, everybody. Louise Asher, West Lewiston Avenue. My house shows up as an aerial view on this. Richie, a question. It's incredibly difficult when you have a mature tree not to damage the roots.
Yes.
Construction trucks are notorious for sideswiping trees and backing into them because a lot of times it's unskilled labor and they don't care. It's just a tree.
Yeah.
So in the event that they suffer damage that they can't recover from, because we love this group of trees, it's provided years of shade and oxygen. What can be done then?
Well, the biggest thing here is to not.
I'm sorry, could you get up to the podium, because people at home will need to hear.
Yeah. The biggest thing that we're going to accomplish there is to not dig into the root system and only build up, but not too much, to not smother the trees. And then just to her point of, skilled labor around the trees, we're all quite skilled in operating heavy machinery, so I feel confident that we won't damage any of the trees. But I suppose in the event that a driver or somebody does, then we would have to replace the tree if it was beyond repair.
Okay. Anyone else?
So I don't know if this was for you. I don't know if you had a hand in this or not, but I'm curious if you did. Why you picked this spot on one of the smaller parks in the city, surrounded on 2 sides by houses, and on the other side by a street that's starting to have some traffic problems?
When we looked at the potential sites in Ferndale, we chose this one because of the aesthetic vision in the park and using the knowledge that we had gained from the Department of Public Works about the ground and how it was higher than most places in Ferndale and was more or less sandy in nature, so that's why we chose that place.
May I, through the chair? Fine.
Sure.
I'd encourage you for more information. At the last council meeting, I think it was, the master plan for the parks was approved and outlined an in-depth process of selection, sites, and criteria, including resident involvement. I'd encourage you to go back and look at that presentation and those notes. And if you have further questions, Lorena would be happy to meet with you, or city staff would be happy to sit down with you about the process they went through.
It hit me like a ton of bricks 2 or 3 weeks ago. I mean, I filled my email in a number of times visiting here.
I hear you, sir. I'm just pointing you in a direction you can get the information to answer your question. We voted on it last meeting. Yeah.
Anyone else, questions or comments? Lorena, do you have anything else that you'd like to present?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to the sustainability aspect. Through the green grant that we're getting for the skate park, we're also working with a landscape architect that's specific to, basically broad to all the grant recipients. And so we'll be looking at different elements that can also be included to make us more of a green skate park. One for sure is we're looking at zero stormwater runoff. So that's our top priority, which I think may already be captured in the design that we have today.
The city is already contracting with Hamilton Anderson, so will Hamilton Anderson be working with this landscape architect as well?
Yes, as far as the entire the synergy between the park design
Yes.
and the skate park, yes.
Okay, great.
And so I just also wanted to mention that we are working with the communications department as well to make sure that the residents are informed. We plan on putting signage at the park so they know, because we have a lot of construction happening this summer at Geary, so they know what's happening and when it's happening, as well as our other parks, which is Schiffer and Wanda.
Great. And you mentioned that you have a representative from Tony Hawk?
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd like to say a few words?
So my name's Trevor Staples. I'm the Built to Play skate park manager for the Tony Hawk Foundation. These grants are funded from the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation. My history is I was the lead advocate for Ann Arbor's skate park. I'm from Ann Arbor, and we worked 7 years on that skate park. These grants were designed to help shorten the process of developing a permanent concrete skate park, world-class skate park. So far, we've granted 12 awards. Out of the 20 that we're trying to do. We have some coming on board soon. We work in Western New York. The grants are for Western New York and Southeast Michigan only, so it's a great opportunity for the city, and we're excited to see it happen.
Well, we want to thank you for selecting Ferndale as one of the 3 recipients for this year.
Well, let me just give you some kudos here because of all the applicants, Ferndale was the only one who didn't contact us first, which we encourage people to do, but the grant was spot on and passed through the first time through. So you have a great staff working on things like this.
Thank you. Thank you. And we're very excited about having a world-class professional skate park amenity brought to our community. Okay, if there's anything else, Council?
No.
Oh, sir, if you'd like to come to the podium to make any comments?
My name's Al Benchich. I live on West Marshall by the high school. I'm not near this park, but I just heard that Ferndale didn't ask for this park. It wasn't something we had asked for, but they selected us somehow. What study was done to determine how many people are going to use this? Yeah, I mean, you're spending a lot of money, and not many of the citizens I know are going to use it. Can you tell me what study was done?
Well, I can share with you my knowledge. I was on the Parks and Recreation Board for 4 years, and back in 2010, when the Parks and Rec Master Plan was done at that time, a skate park was placed down as an interest by the residents. And when the
How many
the
residents?
updated, pardon?
How many residents?
Hundreds of residents
Hundreds of
participate.
residents?
Hundreds of residents participate in.
Asked for a skate park, though. How many asked for the skate park?
I couldn't tell you what those figures are. There is information on the website of our master plans that tell you the surveys that we perform to find out what the interest is.
And how many people asked for maybe an outdoor pool instead?
A lot of people ask for a pool,
More than asked for a skate park?
probably.
So I'm kind of confused here.
Okay, this isn't
I'm just
the
trying
place.
to, I'm trying to
Understand, this
understand.
isn't the place for this conversation, though.
Why not? Isn't this where you inform the citizens and stuff? I'm a
Yes,
citizen.
we're presenting the
Yeah.
plans for the skate park that's been approved.
Okay. All right.
Please. I was about to offer, I believe Lorraine can comment. We've done several master plan processes through multiple city parks as a result of the 2015 bond issue that was approved. Can you speak to that, Lorena?
Yeah, so the master plan in 2017 also included a skate park, which was from feedback that was presented by the residents. In addition to that, we also put out a survey before we even decided on the location of a skate park, where we had over 240 people that responded to that with the amenities and the different types of things that they wanted to have in the skate park. And over 90% of those individuals were Ferndale residents. And in addition, those who weren't Ferndale residents either worked in Ferndale or owned businesses. So there were quite a few people that were interested and wanted a skate park in Ferndale in the more recent studies also.
And just for clarification, I know the mayor mentioned that we selected Ferndale, but that was after the application process. So we didn't seek out Ferndale. The Tony Hawk Foundation didn't. We accepted the grant from the community. The community showed the need and the input from the community, and that was part of our criteria to select the awardees.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, we're going to move on to the second presentation then. That is Mr. Pernick is presenting a check to our Recreation Department.
Thank you. I'm presenting a check for $500. This is an award to Ferndale for second place. We had a next door voter turnout contest for the previous election, and Ferndale had a 70.3% turnout in this election, which is a big jump from what I consider the comparable election 4 years before, which was 44.6%. So congratulations, Ferndale. For the record, Berkeley was first with 72.9%, but in 2 years I plan on doing this again, so there's a
We'll get him next time.
There you go. And if people have, this was basically done, it was publicized through Nextdoor because that was the easiest way for me to do this. I'm not really an organization, I'm just an individual. I live nearby in Huntington Woods, and I thought this would be a good idea to help promote people being more involved in their communities. Voting is one way to do it, and all the other organizations that are in Ferndale and other communities are very worthwhile. So congratulations again, and I'm not sure what to do with the check, but I'm sure somebody will take it.
Well, come up, Lorraine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That's cool.
It is an unexpected.
Well, that's very kind and generous of you. Thank you very much. It's you're not an organization, you are an individual, and that speaks very highly of you. Thank you. Okay, our next order of business is call to audience. This is the time where anyone from the public may speak to council on any topic that is not on the agenda this evening. You will have the opportunity to speak to any agenda item when we bring it up for discussion. You will have up to 3 minutes to address the issue. We ask that you please state your name and address. And anyone can form a line, start at any point.
Good evening, Sherry Wells, 315 West Troy, which is the second house away from the construction going on. And it's not bothering me for the most part. Maybe I missed a good part of it when I was stuck down south because of the weather. But I would like to know how I can find out what their schedule is, so on days when they're thumping and pounding as bad as they did today, I can make plans ahead of time to not be home. So who would I talk to?
Talk to our.
Yeah, hi, Sherry. We'd be happy that we have actually an alert system that we were communicating out construction phasing alerts, and then we have a construction manager. I'd be happy to connect with you.
Oh, yes, because I would like to get the alerts. Any other place I've heard does get them, and I've never even heard of any of that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hello, my name is Megan Buckingham, and I'm at 361 College Street in the Wilson Park neighborhood. This is my first city council meeting, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm going to do my best to keep it to 3 minutes. I am here to speak about the Baker College plan. I've read news articles stating that, quote, Baker College will be consolidating its Northeast Michigan operations, and it plans to create a new state-of-the-art flagship campus in Metro Detroit, end quote. Baker intends to construct this campus in Ferndale. This is the plan. This is why I'm here today, and I'm guessing why, many other people are here as well. And to my knowledge, Baker has not reviewed or considered any other city or location for this campus. They're only negotiating with Ferndale. And the rhetoric that I've heard from both council and Baker, unfortunately, seem to favor the progression of this plan. And I've heard from a lot of people that it's already a done deal. It's already set in stone. I can understand how opportunistic it may seem to city council members for an outside company to ultimately pay for the development of a parking structure and multi-use building that could be used long after the foreseeable tenure of Baker College. Providing free infrastructure to a city that is developing at a rapid rate, what could be better, right? However, this institution is non-for-profit, and I just see how it could leave Ferndale wanting in many ways. Also, the closing of 4 campuses, in my mind, sets up a flare, sets up a red flag. And I wonder, why are these colleges closing? That doesn't seem normal. If they are closing because the school has failed in these locations and is unable to function properly, that is a red flag. If they are closing by choice and therefore ending their educational services to those enrolled, this too is a red flag. These decisions don't sound like they are propelled by the good of the student body. I understand that they will be offering scholarships to those who are able to relocate, but what data do we have of the students from Flint or Allen Park who would be using those scholarships to commute to Ferndale? What data or what studies have been done to support this claim? The colleges and universities I'm familiar with haven't closed down campuses or have relocated on a whim. They are valiant models of what an educational institution should be. And in today's political climate, I think we are often faced with whether to uphold these values and, try to tough it out, or whether to sell to the highest bidder. And I definitely think Baker College in this scenario is the highest bidder. And in attempts to refurbish their image, they have to be downtown. They don't want to be in another spot in Ferndale. They have to be in this one location. And I just think that without the necessary or without the proper information to move forward in a project like this, we're opening up a Pandora's box of unknowns for the future of Ferndale.
You are over 4 minutes, or you are over 3 minutes, nearing 4 minutes.
Is anyone okay with me speaking for another 3 minutes? Does anyone want me to speak on their behalf?
No, that's not.
Can I do that?
You can come back later in the meeting, and we'll reopen call to audience at that time.
Because I do just have 4 questions.
But I want to make sure that everybody have.
Okay.
Well, we don't answer questions during call to audience.
Okay. And
You got lots of us are going to talk. You did awesome.
I'm glad you are all here tonight.
Hi, my name is Kim Lehman, and I'm with 610 Ferndale. Similar in what she's speaking about with Baker, I'm more interested in what is going on, what the benefits are for the community, since it is a nonprofit, how that impacts the taxes and the flow of traffic and the busyness that we already have within the city. So if there are more educational meetings that are dedicated to discussing this topic, that would be great to know. I think there's a little information that's out there already on the forums, but I think the community would like to have access to you guys or to the people that are involved in this project, just to have a little bit more of an open discussion.
Sure. Well, for the public, there is a meeting on March 21st with Baker, I believe.
Actually, if I could have our Director of Community and Economic Development, Jordan Torty, can just give a brief update on public input sessions that are coming up.
Great, thank you.
And I've got some cards here too. If people want to send, just really quickly too, for questions, you can grab one of mine, actually take one, pass them around, and you can also, there's an email, baker@ferndalemI.gov. If you send your questions there, we have folks tracking all that to make sure nothing slips through the cracks. So just quick updates. So one of the things that we did in response to community feedback is we added a couple meetings. So we heard a couple things about sort of what I'll call two categories of questions and information and concern. And so one is just sort of one category sort of about Baker itself, just getting to know Baker as an institution, asking specific questions about Baker's operations and who they are and what they're about and what their transition plan is, and how that could affect Ferndale if they were to move forward. And then there's also a lot of questions and concerns about the site plan itself. So what we've done is we've added 2 additional meetings to talk about each of those topics, and those are coming up. And those are on the project website. If you go to ferndalemI.gov/projects/Baker, you can see all the project documents as they're available. You can see the FAQ sheet that we put out about some of the common questions we had about parking. And you can also see the community meeting information. And those 2 meetings are March 21st, 6:30 to 8:30. That's Baker is hosting that one and organizing and leading that. And that's going to be a public meeting where folks can interact with Baker staff, ask them questions, learn more information. That's at Incubizo over by Voyager. It's 1938 Burdette. There's the parking lot surrounding that. Again, that's right over by Voyager. So that's March 21st, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And then a meeting to talk. Obviously, we'll take questions about anything, any aspect of the process, the project. But April 3rd, there's a Planning Commission discussion meeting where no votes are taken. It's just literally a discussion about the concept. And so Baker will be on hand to present updated site concepts based on feedback they've heard from the public, from the Planning Commission, from city staff. And so you'll have an opportunity to see that information and then also ask questions about that. And that's, you'll have the Planning Commission there, you'll have Baker there, and then you'll have obviously opportunity to ask any questions you want and learn more information there. So those are 2 meetings so far. More can be added if needed, but those are the ones we put on the calendar so far to kind of keep this conversation going.
And just to clarify, we have a website or a webpage about the proposed project and information, facts, et cetera. Could you give that address? Do you have
Yeah, that's ferndalemI.gov/projects with an S/Baker. So that's, and if for some reason I went too fast on that one, if you go to the Ferndale homepage, you got those big green buttons on the front. If you click the one that says current projects, you'll see there's the Baker page logo there, and you can see the concept plans, you can see the NRA document, all the upcoming meetings. We're putting fact sheets up there as information becomes available. And also, again, I would just put a plug to, if you can reach out to city council, city staff, anybody that works for the city to give information, but if you could at least copy the baker@ferndalemI.gov email address. We're trying to just make sure that no comments get lost through the tracks, so we have dedicated personnel literally just watching for those comments, just to make sure that people have questions and concerns, we can answer them all. So that's what we're up to there.
Thank you. And George's time doesn't count toward the 30 minutes of call to audience, so we'll add that on.
Ann Galligan, 333 Pearson Street. I did send an email about the Baker College and never got a response. That was over 2 weeks ago. My main concern is it is a nonprofit. My question was, will they pay any taxes to the city? And I'm concerned about that because our taxes as residents is extremely high. Mine have doubled. I'm almost up to $6,000 a year to where I might be taxed out. So I would like to see companies or businesses come in that help pay taxes so that our residential tax can be offset by larger corporations. Other cities like Troy, they have big corporations, their taxes aren't as high. We have to pay, as the residents, a high premium to live in the city for the benefits that we get. So it would be nice to have businesses coming in, paying a tax to help offset our own personal property taxes, because they are getting really high. And a lot of people are getting taxed out and they have to move. So I would like for you to maybe consider that, and for the residents who have to live here. And if Baker College doesn't have to pay taxes, then I would probably be opposed to it, because I think everybody should have to pay their fair share. Thank you.
Laura Mikulski, 1015 West Hazelhurst. I'm sure you've all seen me at some point or another. Ferndale Beautification Commission, I've done Ferndale Backyard Chickens, and I'm also Ferndale Rat Patrol. So hello to everybody again. I'm standing here because I just want to urge everyone to really consider other studies that have been done on commuter colleges in downtown areas. Now, there's not many of them. I would assume that Royal Oak may have something, and maybe it's just not published. But I did find one for Claremont, California. It's available online. The name of it is The Economic Effect of Urban Colleges on Their Surrounding Communities. And it basically goes through Claremont, which, when we compare Claremont to Ferndale, Michigan, it's pretty similar in profile. So about the same size census population in 2010, about the same size or same median age, so around 35-ish, roughly about the same size of companies, so total number of companies, as well as the same sort of demographics within the city. And when they ran the numbers on the overall economic impact, I'm going to start with weekly. The weekly economic impact per employee, so just per employee, just for commuter employees, was about $36. It's not a huge figure, it's a good figure, it's a good starting point. When we go a little bit further into it and we see the total impact on an annual basis, on the upper bound, all commuter students, we're looking at about 300,000, so 388,000. So again, not a huge figure, but something to consider. We could be looking at something much more substantial. They weren't very clear about how many students there were, how many teachers there were. We already know Baker is proposing 50 staff and 1,500 students. So if we're using the same kinds of numbers on a weekly basis, we could be looking at something around 3.6 million in additional spending within the city. It would be amazing, right? But I think it behooves us to take a moment to actually think about this. Just think about it, study it. I know that this is a very short timeline. I would personally, my knee-jerk reaction is just, I don't like it because I don't like change, but that's not realistic, and I know it's not realistic. However, I don't like change without going into it eyes wide open, and I think that we all need to be eyes wide open and not just look at Baker's perspective and what they want and think about this as sort of pie in the sky. Look at the actual numbers from other cities that have had this happen and maybe do a study in partnership with Royal Oak if they're amenable to it. Thanks.
Thanks. Through the chair, Laura, what publication did that come out of?
This was Urban Studies, Volume 42, Number 7, 1161 through 1175, June 2005.
Great,
so,
thank you.
Slightly different numbers back then.
No, I just want to make sure I can find it. Thank you.
Good evening. Ben Butoff of Highland Street. I just want to first start off by saying it doesn't say on the agenda 30 minutes of call to audience. The optics of it, I'm going to be honest, look like you're trying to limit the number of people speaking out against it. I spoke recently on the facts and figures regarding Baker and their shortcomings as an institution, namely their low graduation rates, high rates of loan defaults, and record low ranking among all schools, statewide and nationally. As Maya Angelou famously said, when someone shows you who they are, listen or believe them. Thank you. And Baker has shown us who they are. They're a predatory school that won't benefit this city. Last week, one thing I wanted to ask, last week Gretchen Whitmer unveiled her budget to include free community college to all Michigan residents. If that passes, it's not for sure. This is likely to impact Baker's already struggling model. If nobody currently wants to pay 4 times more for a community college degree, they certainly don't want to pay when they can get it for free, and that would roll out in 2021. Secondly, on Saturday on Facebook, the fabulous Facebook forum, someone posted an article of OaklandCounty115.com, and I have a little thing here. And a resident named Amy Kimmerl Ash commented saying, "So I go to Baker, or I did before I took 2 semesters off. Anyways, I called the Allen Park office to ask how it was going to work, etc. And it was explained to me in no uncertain terms that this move was already handled and made official. When I mentioned being a resident of Ferndale and the town meetings, etc., I was met with a long pause and the explanation that they were just formalities, that this was 100% happening. I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought I'd share. Overall, the residents are getting the kind of message that that is the deal. Maybe I've seen the mayor say it's not, but it looks like the college themselves are sending the opposite message, and that's a problem. Finally, on February 26th, so like last week in the Ferndale forum, just the regular one, someone posted a poll: do you support the new Baker College Ferndale campus proposition? With 273 total votes, only 19 said yes. 19 of 273. Just some numbers, that's approximately 1.35% of the population. Obviously, we learned 2 years ago polls aren't golden. But typically a sample size in political polls, for 200 million voting adults, they sample 1,000 people. That's 1/200th of 1%. And here you have 1.35% of your population saying they don't want that, this project to go forward. It's a pretty good indicator. So in closing, the people have made it overwhelmingly clear we do not want this project pushed through. Has more red flags than a game of Minesweeper. So just in closing, we don't want this. Thank you. Good night.
Patty McLeod, I'm on Farmdale. Number one, originally my concern was the sheer size of this structure on a small plot of land on a small road that was recently narrowed. Number two, with one big project already happening, why not use that open space for parking right now? That is exactly what the city needs right now, is just that open space. Let's just leave it until that structure on Troy is done. Number three, what is the benefit of this project since there are no property taxes? That's just wild. Our taxes are out of this world. Why bring, number four, why bring a floundering business into town? What plan do you have for this building when Baker decides to close or move on like they have done on 4 different campuses? This is on 9 Mile. Number five, Baker plans to construct a mixed parking deck in the city-owned lot between here and the library? I just happened to read that someplace super obscure. I don't know if anybody else knows that is happening, and when would that might happen? And lastly, and this is a quote, Baker is not expanding their business because it is booming. They are consolidating because it is not. And I don't need to listen to any Baker sales pitch. I think this is just wrong. Thank you.
John Murray, Modern Natural Baby. First of all, I always like to start off positive, right? And one of the positive things I do like seeing that the economic development is finding new things, right? like colleges, fantastic. I love it. But let me give you 2 reasons why I don't like Baker College coming into Ferndale. Number one, it's all about perception, right? I don't know if Baker College is predatory or not. I don't know. I haven't done the research on it. But what I do have is the perception that Baker College is a predatory institution. And that should concern you. And I know the image does concern you because you've done such a great job to make this fantastic community the way it is. You don't have chain restaurants. We've made this city fantastic, right? So when you come and say, I'm going to throw a predatory institution or perceived predatory institution in our city, I can't help but say, I need to fight for this one, right? And I know that there isn't anything, I know you guys are thinking about this, but when you look at it, I want you to think of the image. I want you to think of everything you've built in the city to make it what it is. It's something to be very, very proud of. If you bring in an anchor institution that's a predatory, that is perceived to be predatory, I think you've diminished what you've already built, right? And that is a shame. You've built something special. We can pass on this. We know there's value. What Baker College did is show that people will build us a parking deck, right? We just have to find the right one. What has happened is they've actually started the negotiations, right? Someone will build us a parking structure. Now we just have to get the right fit. Now the second thing is I want to talk about me and the reason why. I want you to stop thinking about Baker College and think about Modern Natural Baby, the small business. I have a parking deck that's being constructed and it's killing me right now. I want you to have, I want the parking deck to be the only thing on your plate. I want you to say, hey, right now these small businesses are not making it, and I want you to come up with a way to make employees be able to park free somewhere not in the most premier parking spaces that we have. That's what I want you to concentrate. I want you to concentrate on how to fix the problem of DOT. But what I don't want you to do is bring in an institution that I have no passion over. Thank you. And again, I'm not saying that you have made a decision. I know you're not going to do this. But just know that you have built something amazing and fantastic. Don't ruin it. Thank you.
Evelyn Elster, 760 West Drayton, 32-year resident and homeowner. We don't get enough acknowledgement for being homeowners. We're just called residents, like we're just all here temporarily. I would like to appeal to council that her new popularity, Ferndale's new popularity, that we don't have to buy into every snake oil sales pitch that comes our way. We have been historically prone to that for the past 15 years or so. We passed the Headley override, which was supposed to stabilize our public safety, which has been neglected ever since. Badly, only to put lipstick on the downtown. And I don't doubt that we are the brunt of a lot of jokes in the developer locker room about how easy Ferndale is. We can't all be lemmings, and we can't all be hand-picked for your little surveys because some of us do not agree with what's going on. I don't want every square inch of Ferndale developed. And no, we are not privileged and elitist in the northwest section. We do like peace and quiet, though. And your little plans are starting to violate that. You get too close to my little sanctuary, and I'm going to fight back.
Dan Meyer, Central Street by Gary Park. To clarify something, you're limiting us to 30 minutes tonight?
Every council meeting, call to audience is 30-minute section.
Hey,
So the last,
If I could,
we can extend
Your Honor, before the regular agenda, if there's still additional comment, it comes at.
Absolutely.
At the conclusion of the regular agenda.
so,
Just-
okay, just 2 weeks ago, there were 12 or 13 of us here who spoke. We spoke for 45 minutes that night. And I think it's really important that the individuals who came out tonight have the opportunity to speak during call to audience.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really important that our elected officials wait on us.
Absolutely. And everyone will have an opportunity this evening to speak if they so wish. We are not denying anyone an opportunity to speak this evening.
But you would be asking them to wait until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, perhaps?
Probably not. It's a very small agenda. There's 2 regular agenda items that may take 15 minutes, but those individuals are here also. So you would be asking them then to wait till midnight or 1 o'clock after all the residents were done speaking to handle their business. So many years ago, the city decided to limit the first part of call to audience to 30 minutes and then extend the call to audience after the regular agenda for as long as the audience needed to speak.
I appreciate your explanation.
Sure.
Before I begin, I noticed Kara here had a post, just a reminder that nothing relating to Baker is on the council meeting agenda tonight. You're of course welcome to attend and speak on any topic you wish, but there will be no Baker-related discussions or decisions tonight. Thanks. And so I can see how that's maybe just communicating that it's not on the agenda, but there's certainly discussions. Are there discussions on Baker tonight, folks? I think this process so far has been quite important, right? And I think a message like that, and I don't mean, to signal you, I apologize for using your name. A week ago when I signaled out a council member who had said, a planning commission member who had said this is going to be an iconic project that is going to happen. I didn't use his name. I apologize for using the name. Getting to that point, though, it seems like there's you're trying to curb discussion, okay? I'm disappointed that I have to come back here. I'm disappointed that so many of us have to take up this fight that our progressive elected officials have not weighed in on. Or when you did weigh in, you voted unanimously to form this potential partnership with a predatory institution. The data on Baker is clear. And if you want to start presenting alternative facts to us, that's not the elected officials I voted for. And I voted for all of you. If we look at some quick numbers once again, right? Baker has a graduation rate that ranges between 8 and 20%. They charge $400 in tuition, right? That means an associate's degree would cost $26,400. You could get that same degree at OCC for $5,420. There are 7 colleges within 10 miles of Ferndale. And if you think you can undertake this plan while the DOT just broke ground, I mean, that's pure hubris. So I don't know if you're for this because you won't say anything. I want to say thank you to Councilman Martin and Councilwoman Leaks May for responding directly to some emails and for the discussion a couple weeks ago. I do greatly appreciate that. But I don't understand how our elected officials solicit public response, public feedback, act as if that's so important to them, and then sit there and don't give us anything. When I was here 2 weeks ago, and I'll wrap up, I was disappointed in the timeline. The vote's coming up on April 22nd, and now I'm excited for that timeline because I think it's crystal clear what you all need to do. And I'll assure you, if that's not crystal clear to you, it'll become crystal clear in other ways because you can hear the members of this community. They don't want this. This is not for us. This does not speak to the unique character of our city, and this is not something that progressive elected officials embrace. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We had our 30 minutes.
Cliff, nope, you're fine. Cliff.
Okay. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, my name's Clinton Hubble. I live at 464 East Lewiston, big sycamore tree out front. Homeowner, resident, I don't know what I'm supposed to be called now. after hearing people talk tonight. But here tonight to add to what I think is an important message about this particular development. I've spoken at 2 meetings now, at the last council meeting and at the Planning Commission meeting the week before. My concerns have not been waylaid in any way. I have, unfortunately, only had my resolve galvanized against this project. This particular institution is not something that I think embraces the fit, embraces Ferndale, and I don't think we should embrace it. And there's an important reason for that in my mind, which is that Ferndale these days seems very much to be speaking the language of gentrification. We are speaking that we want high-rises, that we want buildings that kind of look ubiquitous. We want things that are expensive and nice and shiny, but we don't want them to be user-friendly. We certainly don't want them to accommodate families. We want them to accommodate the generic resident of, that's single and wealthy. And I don't think that's the city we are. It's not who we've been historically. And I think that this adds insult to injury. To put Baker right in the middle of a city is to say, well, not only do we want an archetype person coming to Ferndale and living here and spending their money, now we want to attract a poor student who is coming to Baker on Pell Grants, hoping that they will spend money in our downtown. I think that's a horrible message. And I think that a city speaks through its development. And that is not the message that I, as a resident, want to send to the rest of our Michigan community. So again, you'll hear from a lot of people, but I think this is not like the DOT, conspiracy against doing the parking deck. I think this is something that's a lot more ingrained in our community, and I'd take a very serious look at it before your final vote on this. It's going to cause, I think, a lot of consternation if you don't. Thanks very much.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello again, Louise Asher, 919 West Lewiston.
Hello.
I'm asking, please, that a little bit more research be done before you form alliances with, like, say, Tony Hawk or the Baker College. When I asked Trevor, who represents Tony Hawk, for his stats on real estate impact, do they go up, do they go down when they put these skate parks in formerly passive parks? He at first said yes. Then later, he came to me and said, could I have your data, please, because Tony Hawk does not gather nor compile any of that. So I did research, and other people in the pipeline did research, and we found out that when you have a passive park, it increases property values. When you have a recreational park, they go down unless the neighborhood is super active in 24-hour cycles, policing it and making sure that the increase in what they call soft crime or nuisance crime, vandalism, profanity, drunkenness, fights, cars being broken into, is on the increase. So there needs to be some real policing done with this state-of-the-art giant hole with concrete on it that's going on in, my neighborhood. I think Tony Hawk, and I have called them several times to see why they do not compile this data, because they're selling this idea of skate utopia, that it will benefit your property values and the communities, and it will bring people together. But they don't know because they never go back and check. So I'd appreciate it if maybe a little bit more due diligence was done in the future. Because we get it. We're a little shabby as a city, and we appreciate that you're trying to spiff us up a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Klein, 300 East Lewiston. This is my second city council meeting, and I've been to the last two planning commission meetings because I'm concerned about the Baker College development. And I think that these people here have addressed, some sincere anxiety that they're feeling about the potential financial negatives of this proposal, mainly that Baker doesn't pay property tax and that we fear that our property taxes are going to go up. I think people have also done a nice job of describing what they see as the potential cultural negative of this, mainly that they perceive that we're inviting an ethically challenged business into our community. But I know that you care about your community too, and that there's no way that this development could have made it to the point that we are in the process without you believing that there are some cultural positives to this and some financial positives to this project. Now, I went on to the city's website and I looked over some of the information that you're providing, and I appreciated that information, but what I saw there weren't cultural positives or financial positives. What I saw there were not bads. People are concerned about parking. There was information about how, well, the parking's not going to get better, but it's not bad. And so my question for you is that if you see things that are going to be really culturally beneficial to the city, or things that are going to be financially beneficial to the city, when should we expect that you are going to explain what those things are? Because it's hard for us to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Carl Scott, Horton Street. This is Enzo. He might weigh in too. Let me just say I'm a 30-year resident of Ferndale. After I grew up here, I stayed intentionally because I love this city. I love all of you. I voted for pretty much all of you. I think you guys are doing a great job. Seriously, I love this city, and I want to live here for the rest of my life. I hope that I can afford to. I'm really glad that other people in the community have voiced their concerns about this project. They're a lot smarter than I am. They did the research. I'm not that smart. I just know that I kind of don't like it. And after what they've said, I kind of agree with them, and I'm just kind of concerned. So I just wanted to say that. But again, keep up the good work on everything else. And actually, a pool would be pretty cool. I hear, when I was young, the rumor had it that the city of Ferndale helped the city of Pleasant Ridge put in their pool financially, and then, of course, were barred from using it. And for the last 30 years that I've lived here, I've always wondered what sort of, social cohesion could be facilitated by a swimming pool where people could get together and know their neighbors and play with them and have fun in the sun. Yeah. Fun in the sun! Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nate Rivard. I'm at 250 College, and I'd like to talk about Baker as well. I don't think it'd be right. I think in a green space, maybe a little park with underground parking that somebody else could pay for would be awesome. But some green space, I think, also I know has added money to cities. Big trees equal money too. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
We're always looking for people to come in and give us stuff.
Hello. So I work for Baker College. I'm about to get booed. So I just actually got done with a presentation to over 60 students, and I saw them striving and caring about education. People that were poor and people that are trying to change their lives. And it was amazing. It was amazing to see, and it would be an amazing thing to bring to Ferndale. It really would. I've worked there only 2 years, and it really is. The students there are amazing. And talking about graduation rates, I thought it was interesting that it keeps getting brought up. Wayne State's graduation rate in 2011 was 26%. Not that much higher than Baker's. And now they're at 46%. All because things change and people grow and things happen. And do you live on? I live in Huntington Woods. And I went to Berkeley High School.
Can we at least have our residents have the 30 minutes?
He is a member of the public. He has the right to be up there at that podium. This is not a residents-only meeting. So I will let you continue, sir.
Thank you. And as far as spending money, I went to Berkeley High School every single day. We would go to May's Baycon Cafe, and we would spend our hard-earned money whether we had it or not, on May's Bangkok Cafe. I don't know if anybody remembers when it burnt down. And I mean,
Sir, could you address council?
okay, these were, I mean, we were young kids and we had money to spend. And May's, I think it was like $6 for lunch or something like that. I've been coming into Ferndale for 30 plus odd years. And Ferndale has changed a lot. I think a lot for the better and a lot for the worst, whether we call it gentrified or not. I mean, it's a different place than it was 35 years ago. And I loved coming here when I was in high school, and I love coming here now with my family. We go to Pops for Italian for the half-off pizza. I mean, there's things all over Ferndale for everybody to enjoy. But to stave off higher education because you don't see it as a Ferndale fit, it's kind of baffling to me that higher education is something that you guys are trying to push out of Ferndale. And whether you are college in the state of Michigan. All right. Thank you. That's all I have to say. It's just really kind of sad.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi, Sarah Brown, business owner at CrossFit HCS on Vester. Not originally from Michigan. Took me about 3 years living in different cities around Metro Detroit before I found myself in Ferndale and went out of my way to find somewhere I could set up my business, which was very lucky, and I'm very excited to be here. About 18 months in. Only my second time at these council meetings. And I hope that what we're saying here gets taken into consideration, and I would like to know how exactly it is going to be taken into consideration, and I don't know enough about the voting to know if it's going to be open and how we'll know who voted for what and what was discussed, so I'd like to know a little bit more about that process, especially since from the meetings I've been to, the commission very much sounds swayed toward approving, and the council, whether that's part of how this is supposed to go. You know, there's a lot of formalities where you're supposed to seem neutral. I'm not sure. But I don't get a big, strong feeling of believability in that. It seems like it's kind of moving forward at a fast pace from what I've heard and can tell. And from that timing, obviously, as a business owner and hearing from other business owners, the huge hit that they're taking, especially during this construction time, is really sad. Especially since I came to Ferndale because of the love for the small business. So that's really concerning to me. As well as being a business owner, hearing someone who's supposed to represent Baker say that their previous business plan wasn't working, and then they changed it 2 to 3 years ago. Usually to see some feasible change and results, it would take a couple of years before we know if that business plan is going to be successful. So I'm concerned that what research is going to be taken into consideration to know that Baker College has actually made a change for the better. And I don't think we're pushing out higher education, but I don't think anyone knows what higher education is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years. I think we've all seen what's going on with loan debt for students, and they're not a trade school, so they can't push towards trades because I'm all for it. Wish I didn't, I would push many people go towards trade than getting into momentous debt that many Baker students have. So I wonder what consideration is really going to be taken into in their new business plan that they keep pushing forward. So I think that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kelly Eubank. I live on 715 Pearson, and I've lived in Ferndale for the last 2 years. I ditto every resident that's spoken up until okay, so with Baker College as an employer, I don't think this has been addressed, but being close to several ex-employees of Baker College, they lay you off and then try to rehire you for lower pay, and then on top of the student loan debt and everything that you've just dittoing everyone that's already spoken, doesn't seem like a sustainable business to bring into Ferndale or beneficial at all. Thank you. And also, higher education is useful, just not, in my opinion, Baker College.
Hello, Shannon Smith-Shankar. I live at 303 College Street. I want to echo all of my fellow homeowners and residents that this is a predatory institution. We do not want it here. I think it is very poor taste to put it out there that the residents would be trying to put down higher education. Very tacky. I do not appreciate a outside business coming in and trying to take over time during a council meeting and try and put down the residents just because they are looking out for their community as a whole. I think a lot more needs to go into this decision-making process. I really would love to see the timeline pushed out. I think that we've raised a ton of really important concerns during this call, and I think that that really needs to be taken into account. I also would like to thank the council too for extending this time for us to be able to speak our truth.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Blair, and I live at 189 West Maplehurst. I moved in at the end of January. And I wanted to speak today. I've already actually spoken at the last council meeting, and my husband spoke at the Planning Commission meeting. But I want to speak to a couple things. I'm an educator, and to use this kind of emotional appeal that the citizens of the citizens of Ferndale homeowners are trying to push out higher education is problematic. What I'm hearing from the business owners and homeowners is that the process and why Baker was picked and what benefits we can see to this city versus kind of all of these really valid concerns about what this very large building on 9 Mile at the specific location and this type of higher education, when lots of information are lacking in terms of traffic studies, this new business model that Baker has, shifted to because they realize that their old model is not working. All of these things are really important questions that yet no answers to that have been given. So it's not about, trashing Baker's students or trashing higher education, but these are really valid concerns, and it's the job and responsibility of a city council to make sure that those questions are answered before they bring that institution into their community, especially when the citizens have the right to know that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Maura O'Mealy. I own Samastar Yoga on the corner of 9 and Woodward. I'm also a homeowner on 247 Albany Street. I'm against it for many reasons. Big eyesore, it's catty corner to us. I don't know exactly how much economic value students necessarily bring in, college students. But more than anything, it's just about the location. It's like this very primo spot. It's in the face of Ferndale. It's the heart. And I feel like it is, I don't even, you think of everything that you're going to say, and then you spend all that time planning it, and then you get here, and it's here. Basically, I just don't want it right there. Why can't we expand Ferndale? If it's going to come in, why does it have to be right in the heart of it? Why not spread it out? Why not let Ferndale grow? Why not? I don't want this big mole on my face. It's a big, ugly mole. That's it. Yeah.
Good evening. Jeff King. I'm a business owner here in Ferndale with some restaurants. And I just wanted to address one thing that I've heard a lot talked about, and it's Baker College. And I actually applaud somebody who has the fortitude to come up here knowing that everybody in this audience, he's probably standing alone. He is standing alone from my point of view, by the way. I am not a Baker College proponent, and this is not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was their business practice and the rolling of the dice here. We're talking about that spot on 9 Mile with a parking issue that we already have. This issue is a serious one right now, and we're talking about basically 2 years, as I understand, because of the build of the college, then a build of a parking structure. And I'm here to say, no matter what business was going in there, I don't have any guarantees that a parking structure is going to be built. Because if I spend my money on the college and the business plan doesn't work, folks, where's the money for the parking structure going to come from? There's no guarantee. You're not going to put me in jail because I didn't build a parking structure. So regardless of what entity goes in there, I think that you have to have a serious dialogue on the guarantee of the parking issue being solved before we talk about any businesses taking that much real estate and taking city property on parking, which is an issue for everybody. And even to the residents, my friends, it's only scratching the surface right now of how you're going to be affected in your neighborhood parking. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Is this open talk time only about the college?
No,
Or it's
no,
for-
this is
okay.
called an audience. You can talk about anything.
All right, I was actually, so my name's Mike Steideman, and I'm serving on the Board of Tax Review, and we just got finished, and I thought this might be a good time to bring up something kind of interesting that I've noticed now the last 2 years of doing this. So I've lived in 3 homes in Ferndale. My smallest home was probably about $3,500 in taxes. My next home was about a little under $5,000 in taxes. My current home is about $7,700 in taxes. Now, I'm saying that because I want to give people in the audience perspective and people on the council. So last week, we had a person come in to fight their taxes, and they built a new home in Northeast Ferndale, so in the Hazel Park School District, which if you don't know, if you're in the Hazel Park School District, your taxes are quite a bit higher, actually. So that new build, they were assessed at $11,900 in taxes. And based on the way we do taxes, we couldn't really lower them that much because of the way the system works. Now, I'm bringing this up because it worries me as a Ferndale resident. There's a lot of beautiful homes in Ferndale. There's also some that maybe, if they're sort of run down and no one really wants them and they get torn down and built into some and this was like a 1,500 square foot house, so it's not like it was like a 3,000 square foot mansion or something. And it was a beautiful house. But I just think we don't want to discourage people from coming here, building their dream house, and then being priced out because their taxes are too high. And so I want to tell one more story if it's okay. We've had multiple people come in crying because they don't understand how the tax resets happen. So I would love if you could pass a law that real estate agents in Ferndale, to sell a Ferndale house, you have to explain how the uncapping works because no one seems to understand this. So we're there to help as we can, right, as fellow Ferndale citizens. So anyway, a lot of people come and say, I can't stay here. And so it came up, well, like the people are actually going to move, it's too much. I'm like, all right, well, I remember a case from last year. I pulled out my notes, like this address, right over there in the condos unit, I won't say the unit in case you know the person. She said she wouldn't be able to stay. Sure enough, the assessor looked it up. She moved within months after that meeting, basically because she wouldn't have been able to pay her taxes. Now, and she was a lawyer too. Well, at least she said she was a lawyer. So she probably, I'm assuming she makes pretty good money. So anyway, to bring it around, because all the cities like Oak Park, Ferndale, Hazel Park had like a lot of 1,000 square foot houses that were smaller, so we had to have a higher tax rate. Well now, Ferndale, our property values have gone up like 15% the last 2 years, so it's starting to get really quite a bit far ahead of itself. And I just think if you want people to build new or you want people to buy the new expensive condos or whatever, you don't want that story getting out like, don't buy in Ferndale. I got priced out. I lost money. I had to sell my house at a loss just to get out of there because I couldn't pay the taxes. So I guess that's it. Sorry for taking so long on that.
You're under 3 minutes, so thank you.
Oh, okay, good.
Thanks through the chair. Thanks for serving on that board too. I know that's a tough job, especially this time of year. But I really
We have the hardest time finding people to serve on that board.
Actually, that's a good point. I was just going to say, if anyone wants to do that, we need 2 alternates. We have no alternates. So we'll definitely take people that are interested in that kind of thing.
Well, thank you.
And that's the only board that gets paid. Well, because you got to be there like 12 hours a day.
That's not as fun anymore. I'm Cameron Brown from CrossFit HCS at 160 Vester. Originally, I did come up here to talk about Baker College and all of that, but I heard a lot of good things from all the citizens and the community of Ferndale, which I think is great. However, when we got someone that wasn't a citizen from Ferndale, still was allowed time, and that did concern me. Because they weren't a citizen or a resident, didn't own any business here, and was allotted time. Now, we have went over our 30 minutes, which I do appreciate letting us go over that 30 minutes. However, that does set a precedent that if we get 20 people from Berkeley or Birmingham that wants to come in and hold a lot of time here, then that does mean that a lot of our citizens can't be heard, or they have to sit back. And I think if those people want to speak that aren't part of Ferndale, they should have to go at the end, after the meeting, because then they aren't taking up the citizens'
If I may,
time.
through the chair, we can't do that. There's a state law called the Open Meetings Act that says this is a public forum, and anyone who wants to come and speak can come and speak, regardless of residency. Our hands are tied.
Okay, did not know that. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Just a consideration.
No, I think it makes logical. I understand and I value everybody's input, but we
I didn't know that. Thank you,
yeah,
though.
no,
Thank
you're
you
cool.
for clarifying that.
I wouldn't have either.
Me again.
Welcome back. You're going to be my last speaker for call to audience for this section.
Just on a note, as long as we're talking about Texas, there has been a growing trend in council as well as the general public toward those of us who are long-term residents, who do have our property values capped. That is discrimination. And we have invested 20, 30 years in this community. We paid 11 to 15% interest on our mortgages. We are not privileged to the 2 to 3% sweet more interest rates that a lot of people, new buyers, have. Everybody gets their break from the government.
Can you please address us?
Everybody gets their break from the government, one way or another. We got the Headley. People that are buying now get the sweet interest rate. So all I'm saying is I don't want to be discriminated against because my property taxes are capped. It's getting to the point where I'm not as happy living here as I used to be. And I don't know if that's part of the plan, but that needs to stop. And it needs to stop now. And as far as development goes, I think it's time you put your development team on a shorter leash because this is getting out of control. You are just pimping out this community, something terrible at a breakneck speed. And it's time to take a back seat on that too. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody that's come out tonight. I will reopen call to audience if anybody wants to stay to speak at the end of the regular agenda. But I do want you to know that all of your comments, your thoughts, your questions have been captured and will be addressed as we continue to go through this NRA. Exclusive negotiating rights agreement through the process over the next several weeks that remain. I don't know, Joe, if you wanted to add anything additional?
I think I would just conclude that as we go through the due diligence process that is the NRA, I'd just like to have the opportunity of Jordan Torty, the Economic Development Director, to just summarize kind of the next steps leading towards the end of this phase of the NRA.
Sure, thank you, Joe. So the NRA does only go through April, and just again to remind folks, I mean, a lot of government jargon and planning stuff getting thrown out. All this is a due diligence period. So the whole purpose of this 100-day period is to collect information and to use that as a basis for a decision. So there are no pre-made decisions in this process. We're in an information gathering stage. And so the next community meetings that are scheduled are our next steps. Other than the expiration of the due diligence period, which is in April, those are our two concrete steps, which are collect information, additional information from the public at those two community meetings. And those will inform our next steps going forward. And I do just very quickly want to address, and I appreciate the frustration of the lack of information. A lot of times, a frustrating point of development is it can seem to move at a breakneck pace except for the conveyance of information. And a lot of times, a lot of those pieces of information come at the tail end of a due diligence period. And one of those pieces of information is the community benefit piece. So the reason nothing concrete has been put out about that, while the city is working on putting together a community benefits agreement, we have been collecting input from the public in terms of what the priorities are. We heard a lot of those tonight. We heard a lot of those at previous meetings. And we wanted that perspective and information from the public before we took the step of putting together any kind of agreement. We wanted to understand what the concerns were from the public before we assembled anything formal. So that is something that's in the works that we will be putting out as part of the NRA. So essentially the goal of the NRA is to compile enough information to make an informed decision. And that includes the public, the Planning Commission, and the City Council, who would ultimately have the ability to vote. So that's all this phase is. Those are the two meetings. If more meetings are decided that is necessary, we want to have additional conversation, there's more to collect, more meetings can be added. But for now, it's March 21st and April 3rd. And those again, ferndalemi.gov/projects/Baker. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we have a quorum. There's only 3 of us. The problem is at the minute that one of us gets up to go to the restroom, we can no longer conduct business. So right now, we're going to take a 5-minute break and then continue on with the consent agenda.
There's only 2 bathrooms.
There's 3 bathrooms. There's 2 boys and a girl. Call the meeting back to order. Okay, we will now move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda are items that council considers routine and we enact in one motion, unless someone from council pulls an item for further discussion. I'm having a bit of a voice issue, a breathing and throat issue, so I'm going to request that Councilman Martin read the consent agenda on my behalf.
Mayor Pro Tem, before that's done, could I respectfully request that item 6J be pulled from the agenda? That'll be coming back at the next council meeting.
Okay, 6J is removed. Do I need to?
Nope.
Nope, okay.
So the consent agenda, item A, approval of the meeting minutes for February 25th, 2019, as submitted by the city clerk. B, approval to pay Eastern Michigan University the amount of $3,250 for tuition for Sergeant Schwal to attend the 2019 class program for fire staff and command 9-month program to be charged by the listed account. Item C, approval to pay Sergeant Appliance and Video the amount of $4,489.80 for the purchase of KitchenAid stove, refrigerator, and dishwasher for the fire headquarters to be charged to the account as listed. Item D, approval of the amended interlocal agreement creating the Oakway Mutual Aid Association and the Mutual Aid Box Alarm System Division 3202, MABAS 3202, and authorization to sign on behalf of the city as signed by the acting fire chief. Item E, approval of the amended Michigan Mutual Aid Box Alarm System Association agreement and authorize the mayor to sign as submitted by the acting fire chief. Item F, approval of the recommended tree bid award for Schitzel's Nursery. This is why you want me to read it. And Chestnut Ridge Nursery for $44,299 will be funded through the CDBG account listed, and $9,895 to be funded from the account listed as submitted by the sustainability planner. Item G, approval of the $6,000 funding for additional solar consulting services by Nova Consultants from the parking fund account listed. Item H, approval of the proposal for KRW Associates LLC in the amount of $32,000 to be paid from the account listed as submitted by the interim city manager. Item I, approval of the proposal for construction video production services with M1 Studios in the amount of $5,100 to be paid from the account listed as submitted by the interim city manager. New item J, approval to adopt the poverty exemption guidelines and poverty exemption application as required under the General Property Tax Act as submitted by the finance director. New item K, approval of the backfilling of one firefighter position as submitted by the HR director. Item L, approval to sign a restatement of the city's Section 125 plan document with additional attachments as required by the IRS. Item M, approval to accept and sign an updated administrative service agreement with ICMA-RC as submitted by the HR director. Item N, approval of the software agreement with ESRI for $4,249.80 for a one-year term to be withdrawn from the accounts numbers listed as submitted by the GIS technician. Item O, approval of the purchase replacement fans for the VFDs in the amount of $3,590 and that the expense be charged to the Water and Sewer Fund, account number listed as submitted by the Water System Supervisor. Item P, approval to ratify the February 11th, 2019 contract number 19-5003 by and between the Michigan Department of Transportation and the City of Ferndale for asphalt reconstruction, resurfacing, concrete, curb and gutter, drive approach, sidewalk ramps, drainage improvements, structure adjustments, permanent signing, turf establishment, and pavement marking on Pinecrest Road from 9 Mile to 8 Mile Road, and authorize the mayor and finance director to execute said contract as submitted by the city planner. And item R, approval of Q, approval of the bills and payrolls as submitted by the city manager's office and subject to the review by the council finance committee.
What is council's pleasure on the consent agenda this evening?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion is made and second. Any discussion?
Go Pinecrest. It's been 3 years.
Marty, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Leaks May.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Polika.
Yes. Okay, that passes. Moving on to the next agenda, we have, next item, we have the regular agenda with 2 items for discussion. 7A is a request to extend the medical marijuana application from 9 to 12 months for 2625 Hilton. Jordan, I think you're introducing this one?
So when I made the joke 2 weeks ago, why don't we just pass the third one now? This is it?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it was just with a delayed punchline, I suppose.
I guess.
So thank you, Council. Yes, just like the previous 2 projects, we're bringing forward a standard extension request. The applicant, Dennis Soma, is here if you had specific questions about the project. Dennis is close to his C of O, and a lot of this, and Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of this has to do with uncertainty over the state's process and making sure that they're allowed to have enough time to figure out what the state is going to do as far as the licensing. And Dennis, you're more than welcome to explain that if you'd like to. But we see this from a staff perspective as a standard request, and just like the other 2 applicants, we see it as a reasonable request to extend at this time.
Okay. Do you have anything you'd like to add, sir? No? Okay.
Thank you. I think it seems appropriate, given we approved the other 2, so I'll move that the Ferndale City Council approve CLDD LLC's request to extend the conditional permit for medical marijuana provisioning center at 2625 Hilton to expire June 30th, 2019.
Do I have a
Support.
second? Moved and supported. Open for discussion.
We better not see the runner-ups coming. I'm just saying.
Is there anyone from the audience that would like to talk on this item? If not, we will move to the call. Roll.
Councilman Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Polika.
Yes.
And Councilmember Leaks May.
Yes.
Okay, so passes. Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. And the 7B is a consideration to appoint Janice Sema to the DDA board. And Cindy, are you going to present this, or?
Jackie's.
Jackie?
Hi, I'm Jackie Smith. I'm, what am I? I'm the chair.
Your chair.
Of the Ferndale DDA, and I requested that Janice Sema is appointed to the board. I think she would be an amazing addition and amazing representative of the restaurants in Ferndale. I was not prepared to get up and say anything.
That's okay.
I haven't had a drink yet. We're going to do that later.
Janice, would you like to come up and introduce yourself? Maybe tell us a little bit about your business. I think we all know, but
Right.
for our viewing audience.
I'm Janice Sema. I'm the owner and operator of Jay's. I have my dream job in my dream city, and I'm just super excited to be even more involved.
Great. Well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may.
Does council have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say, Jan, she's selling herself short. She's been part of this community a long time. And it's not just the recent, what is it, 2 years now that Jay's been a leader?
This year 3.
Sure, 3? No. But anyway, she was working downtown when I moved here 14 years ago, and I know she goes way beyond that. So I'm thrilled for you to be willing to do this. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
We've been working on her for those entire 3 years to get on the board.
That's great. Hey, it's great you're open. Have I got an opportunity? Yeah.
Said, listen, we need more women.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
She goes, I'm in.
Yes, Janice is one of those wonderful people that starts out as an employee of a Ferndale business and works her way up through that business and several businesses, and then decides she's going to open up her own place. So we love hearing those kind of stories. Anything else from council?
No.
Okay.
Other than I'd like to make a motion.
Please do.
I move to confirm the appointment of Janice Sema to the Downtown Development Authority for a term ending December 31st, 2022.
Support.
Moved and seconded. Marnie, call the roll.
Councilmember Leaks May.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Polika.
Yes, that passes. Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thanks. Okay, that concludes our regular agenda this meeting. I did say that I would open up the call to audience after the regular agenda, so if there is anybody at this time that would like to come up and continue making any additional comments, I welcome that at this time. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Harold Kirkwood. I've been a resident on West Lewiston for 47 years and lived here almost 50 years in total. And I raised my kids on West Lewiston, across the street from the park. And my son became a professional skateboarder from the point that he was skating and learning on Lewiston. And every time the traffic got hard, we had to take the homemade ramps and bring them in the backyard. And if you know what skateboarders do, they find places where they can skate. Some of those places are dangerous. The fact that the Parks and Recreation Department, the Tony Hawk Foundation, and the contractors and designers of that skate park spent so much time working with the people of Ferndale in order to present one of the finest designs I've ever seen in a place where the kids who can skate and be in danger will have a place to skate. And because my son became a professional skateboarder, I know the family that skateboarders are and the way they take care of each other, and they take care of everybody who comes into their purview, and this would be at Geary Park. I waited around so I could say it here because we weren't supposed to talk about it during the call to the audience. And I just wanted to thank Ferndale for the way they've done that job. And although they're not here, thank Parks and Rec and the designers and contractors for the good job that they've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward. Anyone else? If not, I am going to move to call to council and start. Chief, nothing? Acting Chief, Fire Chief, nothing? Dan, DPW?
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Well, so one of the things, it does look like we may get a little bit of taste of spring here. Who knows how long that'll last, but that may encourage some of us to go out and do some much needed yard work. But don't put your bags out yet. Curbside yard waste pickup does not begin again until April 1st. Although you can take that out to Sacra. That's if you want to drive out to Rochester Hills, because that's where the compost facility is out there. But other than that, it's really all I got tonight. Okay. So April 1st, curbside yard waste pickup, and then we'll be back again getting compost out to the parks and so on and so forth. Or you can come pick it up at the yard right now if you would like, at 521 East Camborne.
Excellent. I do have a question. We are getting warmer. Festivals and parades are going to be starting soon. I was driving down 9 Mile and noticed it's a little rough from the winter. I also noticed that sidewalks are a bit rough too. So I'm wondering at what point before, especially before Memorial Day, we're going to have someone walk through the downtown to make sure that everything's flat, level. There's no tipping, skipping points, tripping points.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a good point. As we fully get out of winter, we will be out sweeping the suites, getting off the sidewalks and whatnot in the downtown area. That maintenance and landscaping in the downtown area is part of the DPW's scope of work now with our contract with the DDA. So we will be paying attention to things of that nature. We will correct as much as best as we can with the resources that the DDA has within that district. Along 9 Mile, I know there's some pretty rough patches and so on. But I do believe you guys are doing your CIP planning process, so something more could probably be coming down the road for 9 Mile. But as far as like the sidewalks and stuff like that, that all gets swept up. Everything's looking a little bit rough right now from the winter. So when we make sure we're out of the winter, we'll be out sweeping everything and getting stuff off, cleaned up, ready for the spring.
Great.
And that'll be long before Memorial Day Parade, for sure.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
Actually, through the chair.
Yes.
I noticed that I saw posts here and there about the flooding that we had. Is there some advice that you can give to the residents when their streets are kind of
When the streets are kind of flooded, one thing I will say is if it's on the weekend or after hours or something like that, if you call the DPW, we'll get our voicemail that will tell you to contact police non-emergency line if there is some significant flooding going on. A lot of times we're going to get that flooding just the capacity of our system and depending upon how much rain we're going to get. And then also, too, a lot of it's just simply going out to that catch basin that may be in front of your house or down at the end of the street that's just like covered in debris or something like that. Getting that debris removed so that water can start flowing again or something like that. Not that we're saying the residents have to do that, but that is something that can be a benefit during those after hours when it's something that we may not get to until the next day or something along those lines.
so called the police non-emergency line?
Yes, and then they will get a hold of one of our supervisors and we'll make a call and get somebody out there to try and remove that debris, free up some of that catch basin so get that water flowing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Cindy, DDA, anything?
I hear there's a new board member.
Yeah, we have a new board member, and I'm super excited to have Janice on the team as well. I think we all are. She brings so much positivity, and she really loves this town and the people that live in it and come and visit it. So we're really excited to harness some of that really positive energy. Friday was International Women's Day, so I did a really quick unofficial tally, and in downtown Ferndale, more than a third of our businesses are women-owned. So it's great to see our board being that representative of what the business community really is. So, and we couldn't think of a couple better ladies than these two, and Mindy Couples and Heather from Little Lotus, who round out the women on our board right now. So we're super excited, and of course the guys are okay too. We do, unfortunately, we are having to cancel Restaurant Week. We just didn't have enough participation this year, but we will be doing some other things to highlight our businesses, especially our restaurants and all the dining options. And then we're moving forward with a event in April to highlight all our salons. And then in May, in addition to the bike rodeo that we work on with the Recreation Department and Ferndale Rotary, we are also doing a health and fitness crawl. So information on that is going out to all those businesses as well. This coming weekend is St. Patrick's Day, so we anticipate there will be a lot of people out visiting our downtown. We all know that maybe parking is a little frustrating anyways lately, so it's a really good opportunity to enjoy downtown, but take a ride share in, avoid the parking, and keep yourself and everybody else safe. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Parks and Recreation.
Hello, everybody. So just a few quick announcements from Parks and Rec today. This past Saturday, we had our Super Brunch event. It was successful beyond anything that we had anticipated going into it. We ended up with 111 total participants for the day. Those participants got the opportunity to meet Spider-Man and do some parkour workshops, have some brunch, and generally enjoy the day. We had a lot of positive feedback. I don't think anybody really gave us any negative feedback with regards to the day.
My neighbors loved it.
Good.
Did
so,
Judy Davis take you?
I did not go. My neighbors loved it.
So the next big special event that we'll be putting on from the Parks and Recreation Department will be our extravaganza, the citywide Easter egg hunt that we'll be conducting at 5 different parks on April 13th. Information for that is going out now, and if you have any questions or anything, you can feel free to contact the Parks and Recreation Department or visit our website. And beyond that, I want to announce that summer camp registration is going to be opening on April 1st. Summer camp spots are limited to 50 per week, so I want to stress to the public that if there are particular weeks that you want to register for, it would be prudent of you to do it I'd say by the end of April, just to make sure that you get those specific weeks. They always go very fast whenever we open them up. In addition to that, we have a Martin Road meeting, Parks meeting, that'll be conducted at the Cooley Community Center on March 21st from 6 to 7:30. It is open to the public for anybody that wants to come in and learn more about some of the design updates and things that are going into Martin Road Park.
Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you. The library, do you have anything you'd like to share? No? Kevin, parking?
I'd like to thank the folks who've left to take attention from taking attention away from, yes, parking rates are going up beginning of next month. $1 an hour, just to reiterate that parking permits for those who use the lots frequently are vastly discounted. Even the premium parking permit, the Business Flex, comes out to, on an annual purchase, paying for 16 hours of parking a week, based on the hourly rate. So that's about it.
Excellent. Thank you. How about our chamber? We have a representative from the chamber. Anything? Dale?
Hello, I'm Dale. I'm the chair/president of the Ferndale Area Chamber of Commerce. A couple things if I can remember them. Rainbow Run is up and running the first weekend in June. It kicks off Pride. You're able to go and register. It's going to be a good event. It should be much larger than last year. What else do we have? Artist in You is gearing up. I'm not 100% sure on a date. It's either the 14th or the 12th of May. 14th. Thank you. That's right, because it's going to be there. And, gosh, we've undergone many changes. I feel good about what we're doing and the direction that we're going. It's been a bit of a struggle, but we're coming out on top.
Sure you will.
Yep, it's a good chamber. Good chamber.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Kara, communications. Nothing. Dan, HR? Cheryl, finance? Uh-oh. It's never good when she gets up.
The mayor's out of town. He's getting cocky.
First, I would like to congratulate Janice, and no one has mentioned it yet, but tomorrow are 50-cent wings. It's a great day to take advantage of that, and I think that covers my nasty news I have. We did have an incident last week with our e-checks. So Point and Pay is our vendor who handles our credit cards and our e-checks. People have been using e-checks because they're free as opposed to using credit cards. And the Point and Pay vendor sent me a notice. They have debited people's accounts on March 3rd and on March 7th. So they are making an effort to refund everyone the duplicate debit to their accounts. If you see that in your account and you haven't had any resolve, please contact us at the city. You can contact Candice at 248-546-2367. 248-546-2367. And we also have a number for Point and Pay, but we can give that to you when you call us because we're trying to make sure that they're staying up on what they're telling us they're going to do. If it has caused any problems with you and your bank account, they will be issuing refunds for any issues that people have had. So it's nothing that we saw because we didn't get the money twice. They just ran the file twice, and they will be. I'll be contacting them to find out what their future plans are to provide assurance that this kind of thing doesn't happen again.
As you mentioned, we'll pay any overdraft fees or anything. That's what you
Yes,
mean by
they will be paying any overdraft fees.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations. 50-cent wings, Tuesday.
Jordan? Nothing else. Nothing else tonight. Marty, city clerk.
Nothing, thank you.
Interim City Manager, your first meeting.
And I broke the mic. I just wanted to close on one comment, just a general update on the construction process for the DOT. I encourage anybody to visit parkferndale.com and sign up for alerts. I think maybe 10 days ago you received an alert that in the beginning of March we would see the beginning of excavation that is underway. I'm happy to say we are progressing at a really good schedule pace. So March right now we're seeing a lot of excavation, which means you're seeing the removal of the soil from the site. We're building a hole. And beginning in April, we expect to start foundation works in there. So we're moving forward.
Excellent.
Nothing tonight.
Nothing tonight. Councilman Martin.
I'm going to make one or two comments. Now that everybody's gone, but this is the time I get to speak my mind, so here goes. I really appreciate everybody coming out and everybody's comments. I don't want to get the sense that this process is at all adversarial. I welcome everyone's attendance and everyone's comments on the Baker College issue. It's a huge project, and we should hear from everybody, and we do want and encourage participation. And the other thing to realize that I just want to communicate and make sure out there that I'm duplicating some things that our team's already said, but this is the process. People are concerned about ideas and decisions already having been made. And on one hand, the date's concerning because it seems like it's coming up quick. But on the other hand, people want answers, and I appreciate that. I want answers too, but this is the time we have to investigate and research and collect public and collect public input on it, and have a discussion in good faith with Baker College, our residents, and ourselves. And there's certain obligations tied to that and responsibilities tied to that. So if it gets frustrating that information is moving slowly, I just want to promote the awareness that we are in the process to find these. These answers will come. They're not going to come out of a back pocket, poorly researched or stitched together. So I appreciate and hear the frustrations. I'm incredibly grateful for the participation and the continued participation. But again, this is how we do things here to make sure we methodically get to a point that we can make a good, responsible decision for Ferndale. So I know most of the folks who came to speak have left. I know they followed the minutes. Hopefully that message through multiple sources gets back to everybody in the community. So hang in there. We'll get through this. So thank you.
All right.
Councilwoman?
Concur. Thank you for saying that. Let's see here. I just wanted to let the residents know that this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this Friday is opening night of that wonderful musical at the high school, The Addams Family, so I hope you can come out and see that. The students worked really hard, and I hope you're able to enjoy that. This coming Tuesday and Wednesday, I will be attending the Michigan Municipal Conference, Capital Conference in Lansing. Something I always love to do because we get to meet with so many so many leaders and community members that are in their position for the good of their community, and just to learn about new things that are going on in different communities and perhaps bring ideas back to continue moving our community forward. So I really enjoy it. I learned a lot from it, and I believe will you be attending?
I will be attending with you.
And Councilwoman Piana will also be attending because she is she's the board president of the Michigan Municipal League, and a representative here as well, so looking forward to that.
I'm
Will
not
you
going,
be?
don't worry.
Okay. Thank you, that's all.
Great. And I echo Councilman Martin's sentiment and comments. And it's very difficult, this situation, because we are in the middle of a contract where we have to be open to all options and all discussions between both parties. And this isn't an opportunity for any of us on council to say, this isn't going to happen, or this is going to happen. That conversation, unfortunately, has to happen at the end of this discussion. As much as I would like to share with the public what I'm thinking right now about where we are with the process, I really can't. I can't I can't impact that legal contract with Baker. So the time is going by quickly. I think we will all come to the right decision for this project, for what's best for Ferndale. I know that we all will do that. So with that, I am going to adjourn this meeting.